Oh, where'd she go? My stomach begins to churn as my premonition becomes a certainty. There were no signs of a woman, nor a man trying to hit on her. Shalu, with a troubled look on her brow, turned to me and shrugged. Maybe they went to the back. Hey, I'll take you there, so stay close to me. Clouds drifted by, casting shadows over Shalu. Suddenly, amidst the fading colors, I realized. Despite her bright smile, in the depths of her dark eyes, shimmering there was a black flame. Shalu, what were you going to do by inviting me here? Hey, And the dead eyes came back! Yay! Ah, you figured me out. As I was about to call out again, an out-of-place, bright voice echoed down the back alley. As I froze in shock, Shalu laughed in a strange manner. That barbarian survived. I couldn't trick you. I'm disgusted by my succession of failures. Why do you know about Suren's injury? Only a handful of people knew that Suren had been injured. Naran. Even I had been kept silent, and I hadn't told anyone. When I asked her a question with a sense of disquiet, Shalu's shoulders shook slightly. Shalu's shoulders shook slightly. My goodness, that's a tongue twister. What I thought was a tremor gradually grew louder and turned into a loud laugh. I know, because I'm the one who pushed him. Oh. Why didn't he mention this? Huh? What do you mean? My mind was so blank I couldn't come up with any other words. There's no way that Shalu would try to kill someone. Shalu, who continued to laugh, betraying my inner voice that repeatedly denied it, continued. Oh, okay. I'm like, how did you get there, first of all? Well, technically, the guy I hired pushed him. It was surprisingly easy, as I knew he was going to the cliffs every day. My only regret is that I didn't see it happen myself. Unfortunately, in desperation, he managed to grab a tree on the way down. How annoying of him. Shalu spoke of her murder plan in the same way you might talk about whether or not your home-cooked meal was a success. I blinked repeatedly in vain, unable to keep up with the transformation of my childhood friend, whom I knew well. Or I thought I knew. My mouth was dry and my lips stuck to my teeth. But why? How? My question, while upset, was tangled and awkward. Shalu smiles at me as if to comfort me. There's so many guys here who are hungry for a woman, right? All you gotta do is ask using your body and everyone will listen to anything. Shalu, did you really? Don't look at me with those pitiful eyes. My body isn't worth anything to me. Stop it! If you say you did it for me, I'm not happy about this at all! I screamed, unable to bear the words that made me want to cover my ears. Then the smile faded from Shalu's face, and instead a cold look shot through me. For you? No, it's not. This is for me. I wanted to remind Nasla that it had hurt my treasure. Treasure? I told you before, didn't I? Ever since we were young, you have been my light, my hope. So that man deserves what he gets. She who has been deprived of something has the right to take it back. There was a coldness in her eyes, but a wry smile on her mouth. The strangeness it created made me shiver to my core. Shalu. Regret washes over me like a wave. Even if she was avoiding me, I should have sought her out by any means necessary. If we had done so, we could have saved Shalu before she fell into such deep darkness. Even knowing I had no right to be sentimental, I still could not suppress the tears that welled up. Rest assured, your misery ends today. Shalu called out behind me as she watched me weep silently. I'll leave the rest to you. What's happening now? Who are you working with?
Thanks for your efforts.
Responding to the call, a man seemed to seep out through the gap in the alley. Even after appearing, his presence was thin, as I knew he wasn't just some ordinary person. The man, fully clothed in black, advanced between me and Shalu and got down on one knee.
I have come for you by order of my lord.
You mean Auri?
That is correct.
How in the world did you get in here?
With thanks to Miss Shalu's cooperation.
Cooperation? I felt nauseous as I vaguely realized what kind of cooperation the spy was referring to. Seeing me pale, Shalu laughed again. I don't care about that. I only needed to sleep with him a few times, and he helped me bring a spy in. Men really are stupid. Shalu. I was so sad, all I could do was call out her name. The spy holds out his hand to me as I stand there stunned.
Come, Naala, we don't have much time. Let us escape together.
Escape? You mean only me, leaving everyone else behind?
What's wrong with that? By now you should have become Lord Auri's queen. You alone are incomparable to the others.
Don't say such rude things.
Rude?
Your words are a disgrace to the souls of the other women. And I may be a royal sister, but I'm not a child of the former king. There is not a drop of precious blood in my veins.
With all due respect, you became the noblest woman in Roos when my lord asked you to be his queen. Or do you intend to disrespect our lord's feelings?
The king already has a partner worthy of him. A woman who has lost her chastity no longer has that right.
My orders from the king were, bring my bride back, even if she's been sullied by another man.
Damn. That's...
And do you intend to waste Miss Shalu's efforts, who has done so much for you?
When the spy approached me, I was astonished at myself for the face that immediately came to mind. A figure that should not be recalled here. Because it's not the face of the women. Oh no, are you thinking of Suren? Girl. Why am I remembered Suren and the gentle voice that called me his wife. The first thing I should have been thinking about was the women. That should have been my purpose. A part of me other than reason complained that it was impossible. Just the thought of being away from that warmth burns my heart with a frenzied longing. I can't go back leaving everyone here. Half was my real intentions and half was an excuse. The irony of being strongly aware of this was not lost on me. When did I... for Suren? But this feeling is nothing but a betrayal to the homeland.
Naala.
Perhaps sensing my conflict, the spy tried to forcefully close the distance between us. I don't have any weapons, and these people are my allies at any rate. What should I do? As I backed away in confusion, I heard footsteps breaking the silence. Missus! Naran! From the look of things, Naran probably decided that the spy was a kidnapper. He quickly pulled out a dagger from his waist and threw it at the man. Okay, Naran, I'm sorry I doubted you for so long. It was very suspicious, was all. The spy jumped back, putting distance between them. In that interval, Naran slipped in and pulled out his short sword.
Fall back, kid. You don't need to be here.
Ooh, look at those eyes. Very scary. It's like cat eyes. You dare to disturb the wife of the military commander!
Funny that a barbarian would dare to speak of disturbance. You stole her from her righteous husband and then claim a shallow ownership over her.
Righteous husband?
Come, Miss Naala. I shall punish this child.
Punish? A long sword with a sharp light appears from under his jet-black robes and pierces my heart with the meaning of the words. To the spy, Nasla men can only be enemies. Proper nouns such as Naran and Suren are not important. It might be rather natural to think so, since we are dealing with an enemy who has kidnapped women.
Miss Naala. Mrs., do you know this guy?
If I had just been kidnapped, I might be in agreement with the spy's words. But now I was terrified, imagining the moment when the sharp tip would be plunged into Naran's soft neck. I was indescribably terrified and sad, as if it were my own body being slashed. I bit my lower lip and remained silent as the tip of the pointed blade swung slightly. The blade, looking for an opening to strike, is like a cunning snake that stirs up frustration. Stop! I step forward and extend one arm to protect Naran. The spy drew his blade in confusion as my body came between us.
Is this guy?
From Naran's point of view, it would be an extremely puzzling situation, as I don't seem to be frightened, even though I was supposed to have been attacked, and the man in black even appears to be paying me respect. However, Naran comparing mine and the spy's complexions, and finally looking at Shalu, he quickly seemed to figure things out. The tone of his voice, which had only been aggressive, now contained a cold suspicion.
How did you get in here?
Looking at him from the side, I gulped at Naran's presence. He looks similar. The way he held his sword and the atmosphere he had when facing the enemy seemed similar to that of Suren. Maybe Suren is training him directly. Although he doesn't quite have the spirit of crushing the opponent, I can feel his determination and the spirit of a warrior. Damn, go Naran. I was secretly surprised by the manly side of Naran that I was seeing for the first time. Girl, calm down.
I don't answer to barbarians.
The spy seemed to have changed his perception of Naran as he met him with a quiet killing intent. He was on his guard, and I could see his intentions from the tip of the blade. I have to stop this somehow. If the two continue to fight, the worst that could happen is that one of them could die. A rescuer from my homeland and a boy from an enemy country. The shadows lying between them created a light and dark atmosphere, reminding me of a microcosm of the two countries. Suddenly, I questioned my position in such a tense situation. What do I want the most now? What is my goal? All I was certain of is that it wasn't just one or the other. I don't think of Suren and Naran as enemies anymore. I don't think of them as enemies or allies. If you accuse me of being bonded to the enemy, I can't deny it. But I have come to know their smiles, their warmth, their emotions. How could I cut them down after having interacted with them?
Miss Naala, you should make the correct choice based on your position.
It's because of this position that I can't choose. I feel that there is a different evil that should be defeated.
And what would that be?
I don't know. But if I were to say, the weakness of people. It seems to me that therein lies the sin of those who contend with each other. Everyone has their own justice, and they face each other based on their unyielding feelings. That shouldn't be a bad thing, but it may have been twisted and pushed in the wrong direction due to the special circumstances due to the spread of the rot. Although the surface may be different, I am sure that the same desire to protect what is important flows at the root. When we turn our hatred on each other, these rough times will only last forever. It's different from Solana, but maybe that's what I was brought here to do. To end the true sadness of this era. It was here that I felt the emotions that had been swirling around me begin to converge. For now, this standoff has to end without any bloodshed. Stand down. I cannot take your hand now.
Do you intend to betray our country?
No. If I were to leave, the impact on the other women would be immeasurable. And I feel like I found something that I have to do here.
Is it because of that kid? I'll say it again, that kid is an enemy.
He is not an enemy.
Mrs.
I appreciate you coming here to help me, despite the risk. I apologize that I couldn't reciprocate you and the king's feelings.
I fear, Miss Naala, that having been left in a difficult situation for a long time, you have lost the ability to think normally. Nasla is only our enemy. Spilling the blood of these barbarians is a natural judgment.
It's not! I can't explain how it's different. There's too much of a gap between the minds to persuade with theory. If you try to take me by force, I will resist with the appropriate force.
Oh, that's...
If you cannot do that, then return, and tell this to the king. Naala will not return until she fulfills her mission. Why? But why? Shalu, who had been watching the situation quietly until then, suddenly started sobbing. She approached with unsteady steps and fell to her knees. Everyone, including the spy, was drawn into the tragic scene and was at a loss for words. Shalu. When I think about what Shalu did and why, my heart aches as if it were pierced by a blade. I was deeply pained that I could not respond to my best friend's wishes. Hey, please, Naran! You tell her that she shouldn't be here! It's a sin above all else! Perhaps confused, Shalu cried out at Naran. When Naran, who was definitely confused, didn't move, she jumped into his chest and begged while clinging onto him. I heard that Naala was able to survive thanks to your continued support. So she's listened to you, right? Yeah, it really is thanks to you, isn't it? All because of you. She did not. She did not. She did not, did she? What? For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. I just stared, my mind having gone completely blank. Naran fell, the pool of blood that spread out from underneath him. Shalu smiling with a bloody dagger in one hand. The sounds felt far off, as if my ears had been clogged with mud. The spy and I both stood frozen in shock. Naran! Oh, she was so emotionally affected that she called him Nalan instead of Naran. Naran! Screaming as I came back to myself, I held Naran up. Despair. The red color spreading out from his abdomen bled out at a horrifying speed. I'm just talking over emotion, it's fine. I touch it with my hand, which twitches in agitation. The blood oozing from the gap between the blade and the flesh quickly stained my fingertips. The palm that clenched as if to confirm slips and lacks power. The next thing I knew, a nose-piercing smell filled the area and my tear glands rapidly relaxed. No! No! Why? How did this happen? I was swallowed by a whirlpool of confusion and my whole body trembled. Did I get a bad ending? What's happening? Let's go, Naala. Now there's nothing holding you back. Shalu. I wasn't sure if I was bitter or frustrated, too many emotions swirling around me. The smiling Shalu was scary and terribly sad at the same time. I shake my head slightly as tears stream down my face and I hug Naran's body as if to protect him from Shalu. So that's how it is. As she said this, the smile faded from her mouth and all that remained on her pale face was a sense of emptiness. Burnt out. That's the best way to describe this face. Shalu spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. I guess I knew you wouldn't go back home. In that case, I don't need this reality. What happened now? Did you stab me? A splash. Something raw and warm lands on my cheek. Did she stab herself? Why? Oh, good lord! Girl, what? Why? I hope I learn at some point why Shalu was so obsessed with Naala. She literally killed a man and then killed herself. Ay. Shalu's slender, beautiful neck. It was sliced open with a single horizontal slash, and the overflow stained my entire body. Shalu looks down on me as I'm completely unable to move and smiles cheerfully, which is very out of place. Immediately after, her body sank to the cold ground. Shalu! 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 The spy's like, well, yes, this is not great, but we should go. Why are you still here? Go away.
Miss Naala, I'm sure you have a lot of complicated feelings, but for now we must escape.
Wow, after all that, I mean, I guess you could be like, I won't let these two people's deaths be in vain. I shall escape. I'm not going anywhere. I can't believe they're both dead. They died in like the space of 5 minutes. Go away! Please just leave! Go away!
Understood. I will pull back for now.
As the spy disappeared again to blend into the darkness, only a miserable scene remained in the back alley. Surrounded by Shalu, who was already dead, and the smell of Naran's blood as he moaned, I was on the verge of insanity. Okay, Naran's still with us. We need to get Naran some help.
Mrs.
Naran! When called upon, a bit of normal thinking returns. Looking down at him with eyes that were still upset, Naran forced a smile from his pale face.
I'm okay. Really. No sweat.
He's not okay, but he's working hard to reassure me. I knew that, painfully so I held back my sobs.
Anyway, things are no good. Like this. The Roos women will be in danger.
A Roos woman having stabbed a Nasla man. The outcome of that is very clear. Right. Naran's kindness and caring for us, even after being stabbed, was heartbreaking. It's not an easy thing to do, no matter how kind you are.
Bring Bro's subordinates from the mansion here. And this place.
Naran.
Hurry.
The turmoil hadn't subsided, but I still knew what had to be done. I quickly took off my jacket, put it on Naran, and started running as soon as I stood up. I ran back to the mansion, choosing secluded paths. I have been cowering on my knees in front of that room ever since I brought Naran home. I feel like I'm suffocating with a heavy feeling. I feel nausea and a headache that makes me feel dazed. Shalu. Naran. Afterward, Shalu's body was also brought in secretly and is now laid to rest in another room. I thought about peeking in a few times, but I didn't want to leave Naran in a critical condition, and honestly, I was too afraid to get up. My best friend's last smile and Naran's pale face alternately appeared and disappeared behind my eyelids. I couldn't resist opening my eyes, and this time my vision almost spun around. I clenched my palms tightly to keep my sanity. I was sure I had washed both hands clean, but I couldn't help but feel that they were still stained red. Truly, there has never been a time when I have cursed my own stupidity and powerlessness as much as I do now.
Can you stand?
I noticed that Suren was standing in front of me. I stood up reflexively and clung to his chest. How's Naran?
Go in. He wants to see you.
The fact that he didn't say that Naran was alright, or even explain the situation, made me feel even more uneasy. Hey, we're seeing Naran's room. It sucks it's under these circumstances. Naran! As I rushed into the room, almost stumbling, Naran, laying on the bed, turned only his eyes to me and smiled. His lack of vitality made me almost lose all my strength. A sense of hopelessness crept upon me. Naran. When I asked the doctor who was standing to the side, he quietly shook his head. The moment I realized what that meant, a shiver crawled up from my toes. My legs go numb and my vision is blurred.
Hang in there. Naran would be sad to see you like this.
Suren. As Suren embraced me from behind, I finally realized. His warmth reminded me that it was Suren who was most saddened by the situation. Even Suren. No, it would have been natural for him, having been together with Naran for so many years, to be distraught, but he remained calm. That stoicism was even more sad. Holding down my heart, which was about to burst, I turned to face Naran again. Gently, I kneeled by the bed and reached for his bloodied cheek. Aww. Naran! Even your earrings have been taken out. Oh no. Naran. I'm so sad. I had the weirdest thought come to my mind. I was like, why did my first CG with you have to be us playing dress up and now I'm on your deathbed? Wow, I'm actually crying. I can't believe it. One route in, I'm crying already. Whew.
Are you crying, Mrs.?
I hadn't realized that I'd been crying large tears until he told me. They fell like rain and quickly soaked Naran's cheeks. I don't have the right to cry. That's how I felt, but the tears ignored my mind's orders and continued to flow. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Naran.
Don't apologize. It wasn't your fault. Rather, I'm the one who should apologize.
What?
If I hadn't interfered, you could have gone home.
That's...
But even still, I'm happy you're still here. So, I'm sorry.
Naran. At a time like this, he could have blamed me a little. On the contrary, Naran's kindness struck my chest. The sadness is so overwhelming that I can't think of a single word. There were so many feelings I wanted to convey, so I resented my lips for their inability to move. As if sensing this, Naran traced my trembling lips with his weakly raised hand. Can I borrow your wife? Naran, stop, please.
Bro, can I borrow your wife just for a moment?
Hmm? Oh god, is he, because he's never gonna have his first kiss? He's not asking, like, can he kiss her because he's never gonna get the chance to kiss another woman, is he? Is he? I can't believe how much I'm crying, oh my goodness. Whew. Tears are good for the pores. Just gonna rub that in, it's fine. Oh yeah. When I twisted my head back at an angle, unsure of his intentions, Suren laughed and shrugged.
Seriously. You're the only guy who tried to make a move on my wife. And the only guy who can get away with it.
Thanks, bro.
Maybe these two don't need to use that many words between them. After nodding, Suren moves away from me slightly. Suren? Wow. Suren too being like, it's okay. I can't believe. Oh. Sheesh. Wah. Suddenly, Naran's hand, which had been caressing my lips, went around the back of my neck and pulled me in with unexpectedly strong force. I lost my posture and leaned forward. At that moment, a soft, warm feeling covered my lips. Naran is kissing me. Before I could realize this, he separated from my lips with only a light feather-like touch. Naran?
Mrs., you really do leave yourself wide open.
He really died after the sheesh. Good lord. This is... this is a little much. Whoa. After that smile, Naran's body became more and more relaxed. I picked up his hand that fell and squeezed it as hard as I could, but there was no sign of him squeezing back. No. No, Naran! Look at me! I know, even if I don't want to. The flame of life is rapidly fading. Naran!
Don't cry. I'm happier than I've ever been.
Huh?
Bro.
Naran's eyes, which probably no longer reflect anything, wander around looking for Suren.
With that, now I'm finally a full-fledged man. I hope.
Naran's words bring back my mind from a morning in the past. Finally realizing the meaning of the kiss, tears spilled down my face again.
That's why you're an idiot. You already were a full-fledged man.
I'm relieved to hear that. Hey, bro,
What?
I love you, bro. Thank you for letting me be by your side.
Naran.
Thank you. The both of you. Thank you.
Ron?
Naran!
Quietly closing his eyes, Naran looked peaceful as if he were asleep. With trembling hands, I grab Naran's shoulders and give them a small shake. But no matter how many times I shake him, those big eyes will never open again. Hey, Naran! Get up, Naran! No. No. No! When something is too sad, I wonder if the senses of sight, hearing, and touch become closed off. The bottom of despair was darker and more wretched than any darkness. I wonder how many times the sun has risen and set since then. I shut myself in my room, sitting on my bed with my arms and legs thrown out, looking out the window vaguely. My head is already exhausted from the constant thinking with helpless regret. It's too much of a hassle to move my hands, and the last few days even drinking water has become a chore. Despite this state of affairs, the regrets I have repeated to the point of boredom are slowly seeping back into my mind. I wonder if my sense of mission killed them. Should I have just taken the spy's hand? I mean, you didn't even get the option to do that until after Naran was stabbed and Shalu was already dead. And I feel like, I mean, that's gotta be a bad end where you take the spy's hand, because Naran's gonna bleed out. People are gonna find Shalu with a dagger where she, like, killed herself, killed this guy. The military commander's wife is now gone. I can only imagine what would happen to the remaining Roos women here. It would just be awful. But if I had, things would be awful for the Roos women. Absolutely. If it didn't work out either way, which one should I have taken? Either way, I can't go back in time. Regretting the days gone by won't affect anything. I know this, but my head thinks on its own. If only I'd done this, no, or done that. I replay things over and over again and my chest hurts. I'm an idiot. I'm not the one who should be immersed in tragedy after all. Really, Foolish. The voice that cursed me has withered, and now I can only breathe out. When I exhaled, I lost even more strength and collapsed in my bed like a broken scarecrow.
You're still not eating?
Suren entered without knocking, sat down on the edge of the bed, and spoke. He must have known that even if he had knocked, I wouldn't have responded. He indicated with his eyes a tray that was left untouched, and instead of replying, I looked down.
You, in this condition, Naran, and your best friend will be sad. You want to die?
I don't know. Even my lips are too heavy for me now, and I respond in my mind.
Say something.
I'm sorry. I really don't know. Is there any meaning to this life that is based on the sacrifice of two people? How can I repay their feelings? I was overthinking things and terribly exhausted. If I continued to tire myself out like this, I might really die. Gently closing my eyes, I felt a slightly frayed fingertip caressing my eyelid. The eyeballs are traced over the thin skin, and for the first time in a long time, the eyelashes quiver.
I like your eyes.
What is he saying all of a sudden? I only move my eyeballs and look at his slightly gaunt face. Come to think of it, when is Suren sleeping nowadays? I feel like he sits on the edge of the bed, morning and night, looking at me. Maybe he's coming to make sure I haven't really died. This rough-looking, but actually compassionate commander is sometimes more sweeter to people than I'd imagined. That's why he'd shield a woman he'd never met with his own body, and won't get rid of such a troublesome wife. I had an intense desire to smile wryly, but my cheeks were still stiff. Suren continued to speak regardless of me, as if talking to himself.
I decided from the first time I saw you that I was going to make you my wife. You were in such a desperate situation, but your eyes didn't lose their hope and were full of fight. They were beautiful. Those eyes said that they wanted to protect everyone. I wanted that hot, passionate soul.
This is what caused Suren to be interested in me, something I'd never heard before. I blinked a few times in surprise, because this was really the first time I had heard a decent reason.
What can I do to restore the life in those eyes?
It was like a question to me, and it was like a question to himself. The sound that comes in from my ears permeates my heart. Then, while looking at his slightly withered cheeks for a moment, I started to feel terribly sad.
Naala?
I unconsciously reached out my hand. I don't think I've ever seen this look on Suren's face before. With my fingertips, I traced Suren's cheeks, touched his eyes, and stroked his dignified eyebrows. Wow, such dignified eyebrows. Me too.
Huh?
Me too. I don't hate your eyes either.
I see.
Yeah. Even when I finally spoke, Suren did not rush me. He's slowly matching his responses with my conversation speed. Why? Why don't you blame me either?
If anyone's at fault, it's me. They died because I forced you to become my wife.
Interesting. Boy's actually talking some sense.
It's not your fault.
No, that's... While he certainly did force my hand, I was the one who made my decision and brought about this fate. I mean, okay, technically, she could have just let Shalu be taken. She didn't have to step in, but she did because she's an awesome lady. It's interesting, though, that they're both feeling guilt. Naala, understandably, because, you know, she was there in the moment. I wasn't expecting that Suren would actually be thinking about this and be like, you know, if I had never done that, I wouldn't have caused my wife this pain. I wouldn't have lost a man who was like a younger brother to me. It's good. He can reflect. He can reflect on his poor decisions in the past. Things might have turned out differently if I'd understood the darkness in Shalu's heart. I still want to understand that darkness, girl. I'm with you in being like, where did that come from? Only a coward would blame you for everything.
I don't think so.
Why?
Because I'm your husband.
That's how you always take on everything and conclude things on your own. Because you're my husband, you have to deal with the hurt in your heart? That's not right. Even though I know in my head that I am making an unreasonable accusation, I can't stop the words from flowing out of my mouth like a waterfall. Letting my raging heart take over, I jumped off the bed and screamed on impulse. Why am I not being punished? Even the tears I thought had finally dried up began to flow. Though I can't see through my tears, Suren must be stunned. Seriously, what am I doing? I covered my pathetic face with both my hands and vomited my emotions towards the floor. Why am I not being punished? You should punish me as it's my fault. Why? It's my fault. How long had I been crying and screaming? I was looking down when I saw Suren's toes in my vision. I squeezed my eyes shut, prepared for all kinds of abuse. Then I heard the sound of clothes rustling in my ears. I was amazed at the feeling of being hugged softly.
You're already punishing yourself. Naran's death is not your fault.
But...
If you keep denying it, I'll continue to deny your denial.
My body, which had become difficult to breathe due to sobbing, was gently lifted up. When I was laid down on the bed as if he were handling a broken object, his slitted eyes up close were kindly narrowed. As is, he could have his way with me with no resistance. Isn't it against your pride to be nice to women?
I'm not being kind to a woman. I'm being kind to my wife.
Right. You're that kind of person. You have a strong will, or your convictions are fierce.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I cried and giggled, and then I became strangely aware of my fatigue. I was pulled into a sleepy state, like mud, and my consciousness was falling step by step. Putting my cheek against his strong chest, his regular heartbeat sounded like a lullaby.
That's fine. Let's have the same dream tonight.
Was that a brief period of happiness when the three of us laughed together? That night I fell asleep for the first time in a few days.